We've got this brick from Grogu. I've swapped out this top brick. I realized just after the video, and I forgot to include it, that this top stud on the snot brick does also have a hole in it. So I have fixed that. We've now got an accurate Lego snot brick in 216 scale nonetheless. This thing's gonna be absolutely massive. To put this into comparison, this is 216 scale and Grogu's gonna be as tall as the torso and legs. For Grogu, we are gonna 3D print. We spoke a little bit about it on yesterday's live stream. Here we have all the parts for 4 elements. This is one element on the desk right now. Let's start building and we'll see if you can guess which element I'm building. For this element, which you'll find out soon enough, I'm going to use a base of bricks and then go up into plates. It's only a 1 plate thick element, so we're going to start off with 2 of these 1x12 bricks. As we're building in 216 times bigger than Lego brick scale, it's a 1:6 scale, so a 1x2 is stretched to a 6x12. These are 1x12s. To fill the gap, we're going to use 1x4s. We're going to stack 2 2x6 plates on top of each other. And these plates, if I can scoot the members board just out of the way, will hold the bricks together and also bridge across the middle of the brick that we are creating. Because the reason we need to fill it with plates in the middle is if we bring our snot brick here, this is going to go somewhere on top, and those 2 plate thick, and then we're going to tile off the top, allow it to still be the same height as a plate, but also to hold on to the brick without any worries of it falling off. The only problem is because it's all Lego, those 2x2 round corner bricks do come off with it. We could always, dare I say it, glue our Lego bricks, but we will not be doing that. Not today, and not for a very long time, I hope. And look at that. That's looking more like a giant Lego brick. It's not perfect. We got a load of studs on top, and where there aren't studs, there are what we call tiles. So I have 8 2x4 red tiles. I don't think I've explained why we're doing this in red. This was from a comment left on the original video by Kelly. The interior is 1 jumper and 1 1x1 plate. I think I've given away which brick it is we're building. And I don't have a load of pieces in medium nougat, let alone tiles. So instead, Kelly recommended building this in red. And it just so happens I have a ton of these red tiles and also a ton of like the 2x2 red tiles and a bunch of other red elements. So it made sense to go with red for the interior. The edges, it was recommended for dark tan, but we'll get to that in just a minute. That one's a bit more complicated. We've covered nearly the entire thing in 2x4 tiles, leaving the gap in the middle for a plate, because if you remember back to this snot brick, we take a little look, we pop these off, you can see we've got a 2x4 plate on top, which is what's holding this stud here. And thankfully the jumper has that same hollow stud in the middle. So we've got our 2x4 plate, which goes right on top, and then also these 4 little corner bricks in red. I own a lot of white, and I also own a lot of red. I can't tell you which sets these came in, because honestly, I don't know. There must have been some set that I got a lot of. And there we go. We have our 1x2 jumper, and with the jumper, we've got it in the middle stud. You can see that new jumpers are a lot more fancier than we're gonna go. They allow for 3 studs in the middle, 3 positions for the studs. But what we're gonna do is the classic jumper little pinhole in the middle. Not really a hole, but the 2x2 brick, which will slot into that 1x1 snot brick on top. We won't press it down, but you can see what I mean by it fitting in nice and secure. So we can actually lean this over and it doesn't fall off, and we can spin it, which is super satisfying. If we tiled this off, this is hours of fun right here, but we do want it to be a bit more secure. So if we, there we go. We can now lift it by the jumper piece, and it still pops off with the stud on top. But this is starting to become a lot more like Grogu's pram, as opposed to just giant bricks being built. The next brick we're going to work on is this 1x1 right at the top to get that 1x1 plate built in this massive giant scow. I'm going to use 2 of these 1x6s, and again bringing back 2 1x4s, which we've just used for the jumper to create our nice little base. And as genuinely, I have so many of these 2x6 plates. I must have got these from old city sets. I feel like this is a typical old city piece. We're going to double stack them and place them as our layer of plates. It's a lot more straightforward than when we were building the brick, but we still had the 2 plates at the bottom and then just bricked up the rest of the build. Again, we're tiling off the top. You could use 4 2x4s and then a 2x2 in the middle, but because we've usually got that 2x2 hole in the middle, actually I'm missing one of the 2x2 bricks, but because we've got that hole in the middle, we are going to put that 2x4 in the middle, but we still want a few more studs just to secure it a little bit more. So we're creating this plus logo with some 1x2 plates, and as you can see, it creates this little beveled logo here, which we can then build our stud onto. But let's get the corners tiled off. With these 2x2s, I have an abundance. I don't actually have as many as the 2x4s, so I'm happy we're only doing it for this one tile here, this one plate, and then we're going to fill up these little gaps with 1x2 bricks as well. Make sure we're tiling off everything that isn't a stud and everything on top here, so we can then fill in our stud. Because this is a plate and not a jumper, we're filling in the entire stud, a bit like we did accidentally on the top of this snot brick. And this plate is going to sit just back here for Grogu's head. It's coming along, it's coming along. We're getting a lot done for this Grogu build. If you do have any suggestions on what we can do next to build the other parts, there's a lot of slope elements and there's also the bar and the clip, definitely let me know. But the next piece we have is the 1x1 corner tile. The 1x1 corner tile seems like a fairly easy element to make. Lego have made a load of rounded off plates and tiles, but the problem with it is it's a 6x6 rounded off plate. Lego do make 6x6 plates in this round formation, but they're only rounded in a 4x4 section on the corner. I've tried building this quite a few different ways using many different snot techniques, and they're just not coming through as nicely as this plate. So we're going to be using this plate. I have double stacked it. Just look at all these tiles I have whacked on top of this plate. They all exist in tan. I wanted to build this in dark tan. The problem is they don't all exist in a dark tan, especially these giant macaroni tiles on the side. So we might have to go with tan. I wonder if they all exist in red. Because we've used red for the interior, we might be able to get away with using it for the outside as well as the inside. But for now, we're going to use tan, and the rest of the build is going to be in white. I've just double stacked the 2 plates, added tiles on top, and then underneath, just like we've done before, we're going to want to get our 1x6 tile, a 1x6 brick, our 1x4 brick, and then we don't want to fill out this corner. We don't want another 1x6 or 1x4. Instead, we want to fill it out until it curves. The best brick we could get here is a 2.5x1. Lego don't make 1x2.5, so we've gone with a 1x3. 1x2 was a bit too lacking, and what this 1x3 design off the corner here will allow is for the brick to slightly stick out through it. And then we can do the same on the other side. Because we got the 1x4, we're going to need a 1x3, just that extra little bit in the corner. And these will be going eventually on both sides. That isn't looking half bad. We add the back to it. You can see where the shape's starting to take formation. And we will be swapping the white and the grey macaroni tiles, of course, with tan pieces. This is going to look awesome on display next to Captain Rex. But how else can we build? The clip is the hardest part. We're going to use the 2x4 round bricks like this, but a bit smaller and we need something to go over the top. So if you have any suggestions for that, please do let me know. Again, shout out to Kelly for the comment. Building in red was an amazing idea, and may the bricks be with you always.